I'm here with Bill Hogan, owner of the Downtown Brockton Museum, and I'm hoping to learn more about the history of Brockton. A lot of great things have happened historically in the city of Brockton, and this guy knows a lot about them. So I'm hoping to hear more information about certain things.
Okay. Well, I'm Bill Hogan. I own the Downtown Brockton Museum. Brockton's history is fantastic. I learn something myself every day. There's no way I'll ever learn it all. It's just a great place to have grown up in, and we have shoes here. We have a great athletic history. We're known for Brockton First. The first department store, Santa Claus, came from Brockton. James Edgar. Rocky Marciano, the first and only undefeated heavyweight champion of the world. The catcher's mitt baseball catcher's mitt was invented in Brockton. We were the first city in the country to eliminate all railroad grade crossings. I could go on and on. We're sitting on Brockton history right here. These chairs here are from the Petronelli Gym. It used to be on Ward Street. Now the street is named Petronelli Way. And these chairs are over 100 years old. They actually came from the St. Patrick's Total Abstinence Society. It was a theater, not like a movie theater, but a theater where a preacher would be preaching and against all those bad things that nobody does anymore, drinking and stuff like that. And these chairs are very sturdy. These were around the boxing ring at the Petronelli Gym, and my friend Tony Petronelli, who donated these to the museum. We actually have 10 of them. So we're sitting on history. Some very famous boxers would have been sitting on these: Marvin Hagler and Tony Petronelli, Robbie Sims, Tiger Moore, and that kind of thing. The room we're in is the Downtown Brockton Visitors Center, and we're trying to coordinate an effort to make Brockton a major tourist destination. We want to highlight some of the nicer things in Brockton: the Fuller Craft Museum, Brockton Historical Society, the Brockton Firefighters Museum, Shaw Stadium or Campanelli Stadium, Brockton Rocks baseball, some of the sports: Thorny Lee Golf Course, Brockton Credit, I always say Credit Union, Brockton Country Club, DW Field, period. All of DW Field Park is beautiful. So we're going to be inviting all these people to get together sometime in March, and we're going to try to coordinate our events. We have Summerfest in Brockton, Tower Fest in Brockton, Downtown Fest in Brockton. We have a problem outside, so I had to get a little distracted there. Okay. Anyway, this is the Tourist Welcome Center, and we invite anybody that's owns a business in Brockton. If they want to advertise their business here, drop off their business cards.
It's all the literature is right along this wall. Different things. I come here to figure out what's going on in this area of the city. It's not just this area. I see things from all over the city.
So the library has events going all the time. We have some of their flyers and posters here, and it's a way of coordinating these events. We have many things going on in Brockton, but there isn't much coordination or cooperation or co-promotion is what I call it, where everybody's involved with it. And we're planning many events next year, and we would like to get everybody involved. The whole city. Our focus is downtown, where the focus should be, and we want things to resonate from downtown outwards instead of the other way around, where we've been developing the city from the outside in. Our effort is right here from the center of Brockton. We're virtually in the geographical center. We're on the corner of School and Main Street, 138 Main. Is there anything specifically we want to talk about?
Well, I just want more people to be aware. Let the motorcycles drive by. I want more people to be aware of this place and places around here. There's Alvera's Cafe. I go in there. They got free Wi-Fi, and I grab a coffee and just chill out. Come here, visit. there's always traffic in here. There's always interesting people in here, discussing all kinds of things. The stuff, like, do you have any stuff with Edison? Or
Yeah, I don't have a heck of a lot of it, but right up the street,
Chamber of
in the Chamber of
Commerce.
Commerce is the old Edison power plant. And there's a little museum inside there. They're open Monday through Friday. It's not built to be a museum, but you can duck in and check out some of the old light bulbs and some of the fixtures that are still there. The Old Colony Planning Council is right next door. They're very receptive to giving you a little bit of a history of the building itself. The chimney is still there. The rafters are still open, so you can get a feel of what the generators look like inside the building. It's pretty nice. It's like a little museum in itself. City Hall is beautiful. They have Civil War murals inside City Hall. So there's like a little museum trail here in Brockton. I'm trying to coordinate with those things. Also the Carnegie Library. I call the Brockton Library the Carnegie Library. Andrew Carnegie donated the money to build the library. I think it was in 1913, I believe. And that's like an art museum, period. History, of course. Research. It's a beautiful place. Right here where we are in downtown, between School Street and Main, School Street and Elm Street, excuse me, right here on Main. We're pretty active here. We have the Downtown Brockton Museum, the Alvera's Cafe is next door. Donovan Center is completely rented out. Petronelli, not the Petronelli gym, Mike Capiello's boxing gym is still functioning a couple doors down. He gets 40, 50 boxes a night working out. So boxing's alive in Brockton, and that's right behind us. So this block here is very, very active. We need some help downtown. We could use some more businesses in this area, but we're not doing all that badly right here.
Hey, did you ever find out more about that time capsule we discovered when we were doing the walk-in?
Yeah, that's at City Hall. That was put in 1976.
Or Chamber of Commerce. Remember the one you didn't know about?
Oh no, I didn't find anything about the Chamber of Commerce one.
So we still got to
There's a time capsule over there.
detective work on that one.
Yeah, that even surprised me. I didn't know that was there.
It's in an obscure place too.
Yeah.
You would never think.
I never saw it.
It's part of like a stair,
Yeah.
well, kind of patio thing. So I noticed we got some things here. We got W.L. Douglas $3 for a shoe. Is that $3 each shoe or both shoes?
Pair of shoes.
All right.
It was actually that's overpriced. He had a $2 shoe, and so we had to up it to $3.
And I guess there was a rivalry with some other guy.
Yeah. Well, him and this is the Walkover Shoe Company here. That was owned by George E. Keith. The Douglas Shoe Company was owned by William L. Douglas. Mr. Douglas was a Brockton mayor at one time. He also was the first and only governor of Massachusetts to come from Brockton. George Keith owned the Walkover Shoe Company, and they used to go back and forth year to year. One year the Douglas Shoe Factory would be the #1 seller of shoes in the country. The next year Walkover Shoe would be first, Douglas would be second. And they kind of battled it out year after year after year. And they were friendly, but they were opposites in many ways. One was a Republican, one was a Democrat. They called the companies themselves the bookends of Brockton. One was on the north side in the Montello section, one was on the south side in the Campbell section. One bordered Avon, the other one bordered West Bridgewater. So it was like the bookends of Brockton. That's how they were referred to. They were both good guys. Mr. Douglas had a lot to do with the original Brockton Hospital, donating money to get the Brockton Hospital going. George E. Keith donated money to build Elvin B. Keith Field, George Keith Field on Plain Street, which was just renovated. And so they were very generous people. They were good people. They were friendly, but they were rivals. Most of the shoe barons, it was a competitive business, but it wasn't a hateful business. They did get along. Another memorable shoe baron would have been Daniel Waldo Field, who donated the land and the money to build D.W. Field Park. So.
And he came after these guys.
He was a little bit younger, not much, but his company was not as big. It was big, but not as big, and he was a little bit after them. They were more like 1905, 1910. D.W. Field was alive in 1940. So he was a little bit younger, not much younger, believe it or not, but he did live a longer life too.
So did these two guys do things for philanthropy as well in the city?
Yeah. Mr. Keith was very quiet. This is one of the differences. He didn't want to run for office. He might have been an alderman or a selectman. Mr. Douglas, on the other hand, was a little more flamboyant. He had his image in the shoe, inside the heel. So he was one of the most recognizable people in the whole country. It reminds me of the Hush Puppy shoes. Remember the old Hush Puppy was inside the shoe. So he wanted everybody to know where he was. Mr. Keith wasn't afraid of letting people know who he was, but he wasn't really all that interested in doing that. But like I say, they were both good people. He was also a Brockton first. He was the first, Mr. Douglas was one of the first to have his image associated with his products, a lot like the Kentucky Fried Chicken Colonel. People saw the Colonel, they thought about Kentucky Fried Chicken. Well, when they saw William Douglas, they thought about his shoes. So he was one of the first to market that successfully, very successfully. That's a little bit about those people. We're working on a project for the year 2021 that happens to be the bicentennial of North Bridgewater, which became Brockton. Brockton became a city in 1881, and in 1981 we had a centennial celebration of Brockton, the city of Brockton. If we were to wait for 2081 to redo that, most of us won't be here in 2081. Our grandchildren may be here, hopefully. And so, but what we decided is, let's try to do something with the year 2021, which is only 4 years away right now. And we're planning a year-long celebration of events. Most of the events are already happening. Summerfest, Towerfest, Brockton Fair, Brockton Rocks Play, there's golf tournaments going on, there's bowling tournaments. What we're planning on is just that we put the moniker, the bicentennial celebration golf tournament at Learning League, the City 4-ball or anything that's already going on. See, we're not inventing the 4th of July. It would be the 4th of July celebration during our bicentennial.
So has the logo been
I'm designing one. Yeah.
Nice.
And mostly it's the key to the success is that everybody just does what they're already doing. The artists do art. The music.
Yeah, we all communicate with
each
other.
And then we all coordinate through here. And these events can be maybe upgraded maybe. So instead of a golf tournament, we have a professional golf tournament, the LPGA tournament. WB Mason sponsors that at Phony Lee already. I'm not a golfer either. I'm very aware of what they do over there. It's a great spot. It's a tourist attraction. It needs to be coordinated a little bit or publicized a little bit more. So what we're also doing, we're looking backwards. This is a newspaper that came out in 1981 about the centennial of Brockton. So we're going to redo the paper, and what was in here was what happened between 1881 and 1981. The paper that we put out would be what happened between 1921 and 2021. So things that are going on now are becoming part of history. We have a lot of programs here. This is from the 75th anniversary of Brockton. This was in 1956. I think my math's right. Yes, it is. And that was the centennial. So this is the tercentenary. Ironically, 2021 is 1 year after the 400th anniversary of Plymouth, when the Pilgrims landed in 1620. This book here is the Brockton and its centennial. It was just donated to the museum by a lady. Last name's Allen, and I'm forgetting the first name. They just donated this. This also came out in 1921, and it was about the celebration that was actually going on in 1921. There's some very old photos of Brockton Fair. I don't know if you can see that or not, but this is a Indian encampment. I can put it in there. beautiful book. This was just donated about a
So
week
where
ago.
did that take place?
This is most of it was at the Brockton Fairgrounds. It was also downtown. They had what they called Merchants Week. That was in June. It was like 5 days of sales all up and downtown. We're rescheduling that again for 2021 to be a Brockton wide Merchants Week. It's almost like a citywide sidewalk sale that goes on for 4 or 5 days. So what we're doing is a lot of the events that went on in 1921, we're creating them for 2021. I think it'd be a lot of fun. We do need people to get, we do need help doing this. We could use some volunteers, people that could just maybe help coordinate things, publicize it, advertise. It's like anything, it takes a lot of people to pull these things off. And this is a grassroots effort by the museum. We're not a nonprofit, and we don't get any money from the government. The government is involved because we do want them involved, but this is not a government-ran festival celebration that we're planning. I'm sure they will anyway. They'll have their own events, so they'll be involved. But I'm looking for everybody in Brockton, anything that's good about Brockton, to become involved in this event.
And if you got historical stuff, I'm sure you'd be interested in looking at it.
Yeah, I love
helping figure out the history of it and the story behind it.
It doesn't take much to get me excited. I get a Brockton High yearbook donated. We have quite a few of them already here, but I get them donated and I read it front to back. And, I sometimes don't get things done around here because I get engrossed in whatever I'm reading. And the Brockton history is fantastic, and it shows the future if you take the time. You know, you take the time to understand Brockton's past, and you can get a good idea of maybe where we should be going.
So are you, is there a website or social media?
We do have a Facebook site, very simple, Downtown Brockton Museum. Or you can punch up Brockton History. And it's a Facebook site, it's not a website. A lot of old photos on there. It's a great Facebook. We have about, I think we're closing in on 6,000 people in the group, which is quite a bit.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So anybody, interested in learning more about the history of Brockton and, different stories of maybe even your relatives or someone, you never know what's down here. There's tons of stuff. I could spend a lot of time reading books like this,
Sure. Well,
looking at things.
that's nothing compared to what we actually have here. We don't leave everything out because this is the only one we do have.
And everything seems to be changing too.
I change almost every week.
Yeah.
Almost every week. Sometimes I'll change twice a day if I don't like it.
Things aren't. They're
Right now-
always rearranged. Yeah.
Well, right now we're recreating the old Kennedy clothing window. This is
Oh, I saw. Were those the old store cards over
Yeah,
there?
that was one of the
Kennedy
first
ones?
credit cards. Kennedy.
Yeah,
clothing
I
credit
noticed
card.
that one.
It's probably 50 years old. And this was the Kennedy Clothing Building. This building is over 100 years old. This block is the Kingman block, and it's famous for being the first brick building in Brockton. Not this building, but the building before it was the Kingman block. And we're recreating a window here. I'm not sure if the camera can see it, but this is Rocky Marciano won the world championship. Kennedy's put a display about Rocky Marciano in the front window. And this is a recreation of the window. We should have this ready by the Christmas and holiday parade.
There's tons of Rocky stuff here too. If you want to, if you're interested in that sort of thing, there's tons of Rocky memorabilia here.
We have lots of Rocky stuff. He was one of my heroes. I did meet Rocky once. I was only 12 years old.
Did you get his autograph?
No, it wasn't a big thing when we were 12 years old.
Yeah, you're
Didn't
right.
think
I
that
would
way.
think of that.
Although I did have Jim Lomborg from the same era, from the Boston Red Sox. That he was at the Shaman Bank in 1968, and I did get his autograph. The whole city of Brockton showed up for that. All the kids were lined up all the way up and down Main, Center Street. Anybody that was 10, 11, 12 years old. That was the beginning of the good times for the Red Sox. They weren't too good up until 1967, and then got a pretty good run.
Yeah, I'm pretty spoiled.
You don't know what
My
it is.
generation. Well, I remember the Patriots. The Patriots were horrible.
No, they couldn't win.
So it's it's only fitting that they're dominating every year.
Back then we had the Celtics. They won a lot.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we're being from Brockton. We didn't know we could lose in Brockton. Our football team was winning. Marvin Hagler was winning. Rocky Marciano was winning before my time. And Tony Petronelli was another champion. Robbie Sims. We got kind of spoiled, especially the football team. We were winning Super Bowls quite regularly.
Well, now I guess is it the soccer team that's pretty good?
I think soccer and basketball and the football team they did make the playoffs this year. They did get beat, but I'm going to give them credit for getting in there.
Yeah.
Basketball's good. They're doing okay out there.
The Thanksgiving game, is that still a big thing?
Not like when I was a kid, to be honest with you. We used to have 5,000 kids at the game.
Yeah.
We had a big rivalry with Waltham before that. We lived north. So.
Yep. So there's tons of stuff here if you're into history and learning about Brockton of yesteryear. I would recommend coming down to. Did you mention the address?
138 Main. We're about the future. You can learn from looking at history, but you got to look towards the future. And we're on a little bit of a mission here. We wouldn't be downtown if we weren't. I could go to the mall like everybody else. I'm on a mission down here trying to help downtown. And the city should be focusing on downtown. The city should revolve around downtown. Unfortunately, it doesn't.
It once did.
It did. You have to. See, it'll never work if downtown's neglected. It just can't work. And it's not just Brockton. That's true for any city or town. You can't have what you should have if you don't concentrate on downtown Brockton, downtown of any city or town. It's just fundamentally flawed.
So, what are some suggestions or thoughts on how to revitalize the downtown area?
Well, we need to stop moving into positive venues out of downtown. It started with moving, back in the 70s, they moved the Brockton High School out of downtown. They moved the post office out of downtown. They moved the police station out of downtown. And the high school being the biggest blow. And it continues today where when something does come along in Brockton, a good venue, it could be a business, could be a sporting venue, could be anything, downtown is not considered. It's never considered. And it's put on the outskirts of town, which is great for the people that live on the outskirts of town, and plus the neighboring towns. So the mentality of neglecting downtown has to happen first. And, can I say we need a $100 million Sheraton hotel across the street? Yeah, that would help. But those things aren't going to happen just like that. We need to change the mentality of Brockton. We have to concentrate on downtown. As you can see, you're looking out at Main Street. There's thousands of people going by right now. There's traffic everywhere. It's backed up. We're looking at 40, 50 people out there right now. They're not spending money here. They're walking by. They're driving by. They won't be spending money here. They'll just be here. So it's the mentality of the downtown. It's not treated with the respect it should. It's just not treated like a downtown.
What immediate attraction do you think would sort of spur
Well, an immediate one's a tough one. Because you could name anything. We could have a bowling alley. We could have a movie theater. We could have a park on Main Street here instead of another housing project that's going up across the street here. Something that would attract people to the downtown. Instead of just housing. It's not going to work with the housing, that's what they're doing. So you could name anything, a nice nightclub. I'm not a night person myself, but a nightclub. You can name anything you want. A restaurant.
I think a restaurant.
Yes. But those places are
moderately priced.
They're not going to invest down here unless they start leaving positive venues down here.
Yeah, I mean,
And people spend money down here.
for starters, the insurance rates for something like that are right through the roof.
Well, yeah, and it affects the whole city anyway. If Brockton's insurances are high because of what happens down here, it still affects the people on the outskirts of
Yep.
town. So neglecting downtown affects everybody, whether they think they're safe on the outskirts of town, they're not. It's costing them money. And until the mentality about downtown Brockton changes, it's not gonna happen. It just can't happen. As you see, how many people, you're looking out here, you can back me up, there must be 14, 15 cars back up, 2 lanes of traffic.
Yeah,
There's half a dozen people in front of my store. There's plenty of people.
plenty of parking.
There's plenty of parking, that's one of the biggest.
Well,
things.
1 hour parking.
There's plenty of parking.
Um, I see a lot of potential here. There's a lot of, like the Liberty trees right over
Yeah,
there.
sure.
That can be, there's a real interesting story behind that neck of the woods, how it used to be an underground railroad stop.
Well, it's all here. The library is a beautiful place. The Y, the Brockton Y. There's 2 Brockton Ys down here, actually. And this is a nice place. And, we also have the Enzo Flats that just opened up. Stacy Adams just opened up. They're art-related venues. Legion Parkway is very busy. The things are here. The thing about downtown is it is spread out. I hear people comparing Brockton to other towns and cities. Well, there's more in this such and such town or such and such city. Well, there isn't more in their downtown. It's just a smaller downtown, maybe a mile. Ours is probably 2 or 3 square miles. Our downtown is huge. If it was more concentrated, it would look bigger. Look like more going on. We're still looking, in case you people that are viewing this, we're still looking at traffic out here. Hundreds of people on downtown. No one's stopping, but they are here. So,
Yeah, there's like a 20-car backup right now.
and this is all day long, Monday through Friday. So when people do tell you that they have to attract people to downtown, it's not entirely true. We could use more people, of course. But we need the people in downtown Brockton to actually stop, look around, maybe spend some money, which is, that's what businesses are looking for.
Have they recently counted, those things you put on the road? Those wires that come
Not on Main
cars?
Street, not that I know of. They did it on Montalvo.
They haven't done it on Main
Not
Street.
that I know of.
That would be an interesting thing to know.
Hundreds of cars, thousands of cars.
Oh yeah,
I
1,000.
don't need a car, I can just look out.
Yeah, the 20 every 20 seconds.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, very good talk, very informative. Thanks for your voice.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks for your time. Take care.